Hey, what's poppin' nation? Summer is winding down and the kiddos are going back to school. But I got a question for you. Have you taken a vacation yet? Have you taken like a family vacation? Have you even taken like a for real vacation since COVID is kind of like dissipated into the air? And did you know that now coming up for 2024, you're going to be required to have a visa to go to Europe? Y'all, my guest today, Kealah out there in LA, she's going to help us sort through all of this stuff and get us on the right track so we can go ahead and enjoy some sunshine, enjoy the mountains, the beach, whatever your cup of tea is. Let's go ahead and talk small business. So y'all, we are talking to Miss Kealah, and she is Travel Fly Adventures. And
Yes.
Kealah, now your way, are kids back to school yet?
So some of them are. My daughter doesn't start until next week on the 17th, but a lot of kids are back to school already.
So my son started like last week. He's already been in school like a full week and
Does he hate it?
a little bit. But the reason why I asked is because like a lot of parents now are trying to scramble in to get a vacation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like the big vacation times is that spring break with your kids, right?
Yes.
That winter holiday kind of break, if you can afford the airfare, because over those, oh my gosh, right? Over that Thanksgiving or that Christmas break, you can like wrap it up unless you're driving somewhere.
Yeah.
But we're tired of the cold.
Yep.
You know, we want to get warmer. Ha, my Caribbean travel buddy here.
Yes.
And so that's why I bring up the kids being in school, because parents are on a crunch. And so, you know, we're looking at where can we go? You know, what's available for us with kids? We'll start with kids.
So with kids, I mean, there's so many different things that you can do. I like to take my kid on a cruise. I love taking her cruising because they have daycare on there. Plus, it's like, it's easy. Once you get on the ship, there's a lot of activities for them to do. There's a lot for you to do. You get to get off at different ports and visit different destinations at every spot. My family and I, we go to Mexico every year. That's our big cruise that we do in November because we're close to SoCal and we go out of SoCal.
Where do you go?
So
Puerto Vallarta?
Yes, there you go. I love going to Puerto Vallarta. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite places to stop over in. This year we're going to be going and hitting up La Paz, which is the capital of the Big Sur. So the California Baja Sur. Anyways, but yeah, we're going to be hitting that up. It's really beautiful.
Really family friendly, because your daughter's young. I remember you were taking her to the Barbie movie.
Yes,
so she's rather
8.
Young. So
yeah,
she's
totally family friendly. We've taken her snorkeling, and some of the excursions that we've done, I mean, she's gone camel riding and everything. Yeah, well, you know, it's good to ask me that because I do have kids, so I understand what it's like to travel with small, you know, little ones. And a lot of times I have to look for something that's within her age range as well. So Southern California, is one of my favorite places to travel to because it has Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach. It's fun. It's gorgeous. There's always something to do. There's a Santa Monica Pier I take her to. I've taken her to Vegas. And we've gone to the Grand Canyon. We've spent, 9 days out there.
So I thought about taking my son to Vegas. My husband and I go, but we've never taken him. They have Circus. Is that like the only option that is kind of
absolutely not.
Vegas?
She stayed with us at the Venetian. We stayed on the Palazzo at the Venetian, and she had a great time. They have the gondola ride in there where you can ride around, and I mean, when I tell you, there's a plethora to do out there. And then, Arizona's like right there. So you can go to the West Rim for the Grand Canyon. So we took her out there. She did the skywalk. We took her to Calico Ghost Town. That's it's a couple of hours out by Barstow.
Okay.
It's right outside of Barstow. And we took her there. She walked around. She got to go into a mine that they have because it was a silver mining town back in the 1800s.
Oh,
And then
that's
it wound
cool.
up getting abandoned when the price of silver dropped. So
That's
anyhow, yeah, so we walked around there and she had a lot of friends. She brought one of her friends with her, and it's just, she had great time. Yeah, she
cool.
wasn't bored at all. There's a lot to
'Cause
do.
that's what I think. I think like, okay, you know, for grown people, going to the casino, is one thing. My husband and I hit up the weed spots. We're grown. You know what I mean? But for a kid, I'm like, what can they? But you're right. Even in walking around, there is just so much.
They were
Um,
fascinated by going to the Bellagio and seeing the water fountains and all the music and the show and everything like that. The different buffets
really?
that they have. We even found a
Mm,
Taco Bell cantina so we could take her and her friend there.
really?
Well, you know how kids are. They waste a lot of food, and food in
My
Vegas is
God,
not
yeah.
cheap. So I was like, where can we take you that you're not gonna
Buffet.
yeah,
Buffet.
buffets, the Taco Bell canteen is there. I do think that Vegas is one of those spots where you do have to go like for an adults only trip so that you can really have a lot of fun out there. But if you are taking,
Yes,
you know what I
yes.
mean?
Right. Oh,
But if you do
yeah.
have your kids with you, there's New York, New York. They have the roller coaster on there. They have, there's all kinds of things for the kids to do.
I love
Yeah.
that. So
And
your
I'm huge on
specialty,
road trips.
though, but your specialty is the Caribbean.
The Caribbean
So
and Mexico.
tell
Yeah.
us about, because I love the kids, but at some point I'm like, fuck them kids, and it's got to be grown folks or even just the girls.
Yeah. So there's a lot of adult only, all inclusive resorts in the Caribbean and in Mexico. So either way, if you want to do it, that is the way to go. You even have you have one cruise line right now, which is Virgin Voyages, and they are
Okay.
adults only as well. And they port out of Miami. So it's out there by you. So they port out of Miami and they take you different places. They also go to Greece. Now, the one thing with Virgin Voyages where they require you to have a passport for their cruises.
Is it because you're going?
It's so here's the thing with any cruise line, a passport is always encouraged. Just because if you get somewhere and something happens to you and you're stuck in that country and you need to fly home, you need your passport. And so that's one of the reasons why Virgin Voyages requires that you have a passport. They won't even let you go on a cruise without one. Most cruises, if it starts in the US and ends in the US, you can use your birth certificate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But Virgin Voyages is not like that. They want you to have your passport.
I wonder if it's because they dock in other further countries like that. And like you say, if you get stuck, you're kind of.
But here's the thing. They have a closed loop tour that starts in Miami and leaves in Miami, but they still require you to have a passport. And I think that's just, I mean, it's smart thinking on one hand, but the other cruise lines don't exactly follow that. So like, let's say if your cruise starts in Miami, but it's ending in, let's say Spain, you're going to be required to have a passport for that cruise because you're flying from Spain back home.
Okay.
So if your cruise starts in the US and ends in the US, that's considered a closed loop tour. Yeah. Okay. So you don't really need a passport for that. You can get away with a birth certificate. But again, I stress that a passport is always a good idea to have, even if you're starting in the US and ending in the US.
So when we talk about passports, though, let me ask, because there is a difference. Some of them look like little cards, and some of them are the actual books. So what is the difference between this little card and this book? Is something restricted or?
Yeah, it is. So the card is like if you're driving to Canada and coming back, but you need your passport book. You need your actual passport if you're flying somewhere and flying and going. You need a passport book for that.
Okay, so if you're flying, you need the whole book. But if you're just driving across the border,
and coming back, it's limited. The passport card is very limited.
Version?
Yeah, basically, it's almost like a permit. You know what I mean? Like a driver's permit. You know how a driver's permit is kind of limited.
Yeah, limited.
The passport card is limited, but when you get your driver's license, The road
You
is
can
the
have
limit.
carte blanche.
Yeah,
It's kind of weird. Okay.
it is. That's how they
So
do it. It's also cheaper than the passport too.
I did notice that. I just really wasn't sure what the actual difference of them
Yeah.
was. So
I
as long
encourage
as
anybody, if you're doing anything with travel, just get a
right,
passport.
just
Don't waste your time getting a
right,
card. Just get a passport because it comes in handy.
you're gonna wind up needing it, especially if you have to fly. Otherwise, you're gonna
Especially
have
if
to
you're
get a
going.
whole another one anyway, and then they're just getting all your money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're getting
Yeah.
all your money.
Just get a passport book.
So as we're talking about access, I know Europe really isn't your forte,
Right.
but these days, or coming up soon, they're implementing now not only having a passport to go to Europe, but they
Mm-hmm.
actually want you to have a visa to
Yes,
go
you have
to
to have a
Europe.
visa. And a lot
Do
of
you?
places actually require that. I think Japan is one of the other places that does too.
Oh, so
There's
this isn't
several
new.
there's several places that require you to have a visa
This is
to
new
go
then.
in.
This
Yeah,
isn't
no,
a
this
new
is
thing.
new for Europe for that part of it. This is having a visa going over there. That's new because before you just needed your passport. But
Right.
but having a visa to go to certain destinations, that's not new. Some places really do require you to have a visa.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and if you want to know some of the requirements, you can also look on their, the travel state website and find out what documents that you need prior to going. It's always a good idea to research any destination that you're traveling to internationally, because you want to know what their status is, if it's dangerous right now to go,
Right.
B, if it's what documents are going to be required of you. Also learn their etiquette. That is huge. I really want to touch on that because, like around here, some of us will wear camo, like camo pants, things like that, right? Camouflage. In other countries, you can't do that. There was a woman, I believe, that my husband was telling me about. I have to look this up to verify, but there was a woman who I believe was arrested in Dubai for yelling at somebody. She like cussed somebody out. So again, research local customs,
You just
know what's expected
never
of you, because how we are in the US
trust ourselves.
it's way different. It may not fly somewhere else. To put it nicely.
For real.
So
For real
dressing
though.
attire, being respectful, and just knowing where you're going. Research. And of
Absolutely.
course, if you have, a TA like myself, a travel consultant, that's one of the things that I do is I research those things. And I have suppliers that are in that are over there, and I talk to them, and then I find out customs and insiders and what I need to know to tell my clients as well.
That's huge. So y'all, if y'all were wondering like, well, why do I need Kealah? Why do I need Travel Fly Adventures? Right there is your reason, because I'm serious, we're lazy. Most of us are super, super lazy. We see a spot, we're like, ooh, it looks good on the pictures, but we don't do that deep dive and going through the stuff to really see.
One of the things to remember too is, like, as a TA, I have a huge network. So I'm networking with suppliers who do want your business. And so, of course, I know now I'm going to know people, and I'm going to talk to them, and I'm going to work with them and, figure out what is best for my client. And they want you to have a good experience so that you'll come back. They don't want you to have a terrible experience. So there's a lot of things that us, travel consultants can do for our clients that you may not be able to do on your own or get on your own.
You can head off stuff at the pass.
Yeah, and then you have somebody who's in your corner when you're traveling. How many times have you gone to a destination and maybe had questions? Or let's say you book with Expedia. I'm not going to knock Expedia, but let's say you book with Expedia. You get over there, you have some trouble with the hotel. You try to call Expedia, and now you're on hold. Yeah, drink your water. You already know what I'm talking about. Then they have you on hold, and you don't really have an actual person. So for my clients, what I like to do is when they go somewhere, they have access to me. If they text message me or they call me or there's any issue, I had a client, I did send someone to Europe, but I had a client who was over in Europe, and they were like, I don't know what time my car is coming to pick me up. I said, no problem. They messaged me, no problem. I went, made sure I found all the information. Here you go. And sent it right back. So now there's no waiting on hold for somebody. I'm taking that stress out of it. of,
Right.
of that out of it
I
for
like
you.
that. My family and I recently, I had an event in Connecticut and I
Mhm,
booked Verbo. It
mhm.
was the very first time I have booked a place like this. And Verbo says, you're supposed to have the place to yourself. Well, these people still had some of their personal items in there. I'm talking like their toothbrush and toothpaste. I'm talking about like their personal like prescription medication. I'm talking
Yeah.
about like food in the refrigerator, clothes in the closet. And it was so disturbing that I had my family with me, my kids, and so I complained after I got home. Do you know they just went ahead and closed my my case without they closed my case without even acknowledging anything. And I think it's because they could. And I felt like I didn't have any recourse. I didn't have an advocate. I didn't have anybody, in my corner. And, I almost felt like if I had booked with someone, maybe it wouldn't have had to be me that would have confronted, the homeowner or, the owner or whatever,
Yes.
and been like, hey, you're violating, the code of,
Mhm.
blah, 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 blah. So it was just an awkward situation. So I really do like the idea of having an actual person, because then when I tried to resolve the issue, trying to call and talk to a person at Airbnb or Verbo or hotels.com or
And here's
Expedia
something that
or
people don't, I don't know, a lot of people know, but a lot of times they give travel agents their own special hotline to call to address issues.
y'all
There
have
are
a
travel agent
backbone.
only hotlines. Yeah. Even I have one for Disney too. So
Y'all have a
I,
backbone. Y'all
I
hear that,
don't
right?
I don't sell. Now here's the thing. I can pretty much sell anything I want to.
Right.
That's just it. However,
The
it's
nature
better
of
for
it.
me to kind of shorten it so that I can focus on one area. Otherwise, you get completely overwhelmed with
Oh, it's a
everything,
lot.
all
The
travel.
world is a big
It
place.
is.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah, it's
lot.
a lot.
But yeah,
It's a
they
lot.
give us, our own phone lines and things that we can call. So if we're having an issue or we need to talk to, we have our own customer service department that we deal with and talk to. And then we can get things going. Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm like, if my clients are ever having trouble, I'm like, please do not hesitate to reach out to me to let me know. Because a lot of times, even when I send people to a hotel, I work with the business development manager and I let
Right.
them know, hey, my client's coming.
Right.
This is what's going on. This is what their needs are. They have this many people with them. Can you do something for them? Or can you do, there's different things that we do.
That is very cool. So let me ask you, I'm married, but I do like to go hang out with the girls and,
Yeah.
take it elsewhere. So tell me, are there any, you hear about all these horror stories on vacation of people getting caught up and stuff like that. Is there anywhere, that maybe as a girl trip or so that we would be good to go, and places maybe to avoid, or warning signs, things to look out for, anything like that?
So what I like to tell my clients is anytime you go anywhere, you're not at home. Okay. Remember that you're on vacation, you're somewhere else. Keep your wits about you.
I say keep your
Just like
head on a
there's,
swivel.
yes, just because you're on vacation doesn't mean bad stuff doesn't happen.
And to let your
It's
whole
not
guard
time.
down.
It's not, yeah, you don't let your guard down. That's exactly it. Because, like, I mean, honestly, even in my neighborhood, would I go walking down the street at night drunk as a skunk? Absolutely not. Would I go walking down the street at certain areas at different, no, you
Love to
wouldn't.
do it
But when
on.
you get on vacation, a lot of times people do that. And so I'm like, you got to travel smart. Now, there is the travel safe program. What's it called? I have the exact name of it.
It'll
It's
come
the
to you
Smart
when you're ready.
Traveler Enrollment Program. And so
Mhm.
you can enroll in that, and it also alerts the embassies and different things like that when you're traveling, because you can put your travel plans in there. So that way, if something does happen, you have a point of contact for when
And
you're
what
out
is
there.
it called?
It's called the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. So it's
Ooh.
STEP.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then you can log your whole like itinerary in there. So that way they know where you're going and give you information and alerts and updates and stuff about what's going on in that area.
That's big. That's big, especially for, I would think, like women travelers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
yeah.
Here's the thing. And somebody else asked me about like, oh, what do you think about staying in like an Airbnb in a different country or something like that? If I'm going by myself, more than likely not.
No.
Because you don't know who's watching
At the
you.
mercy.
And there's no security. There's no.
So I will say no. And I will only say that because even when I went to Connecticut just with my family, right? There was a Keurig machine, like a hellified Keurig machine with all the different coffees and teas and hot chocolate. But when I left, I made sure that I filled it up to the tip top. When I came back to the apartment, hours later, that shit had been used, meaning the people had been in the apartment because they were only upstairs. It was a 3-floor apartment. So they had been they were upstairs. And I just know that they came downstairs, made their coffee, and then left. But all of my stuff was in there. Like, no.
I do some vacation rentals. I don't I use like verified property management companies, things like that, to do those things with. So they're like vacation properties. But yeah, I would just stay on a resort.
If I
would stay at a resort. I did solo travel to Jamaica and I had a great time. I wound up meeting up with, I had some workmates that were there, so I wound up meeting up with them, but for the most part, I went by myself and I just stayed on the resort, and they had like a little shuttle that took you to a little, known shopping area. And that was fine because that was a little bit safer than the shuttle would pick you back up.
Right.
But there are some people who want to be adventurous, and that's fine. They do tell a lot of lies, and they do tell like, oh, I'm meeting my girlfriend over here, or oh, I'm going, my husband, or whatever. They make up stories so that people don't know that they're by themselves and that, they're vulnerable. So there's certain things that you say and don't say when you're traveling or whatever. Right. But for me, I'm like, I'll stay at the resort. If I'm going to be by myself, I'm too far away for any help. And if something happens, I'm like, and you really just don't know. And if you're not, familiar with the local customs, what happens if you go to jail or something, just anything can happen. So yes, it's kind of a scary thing. You do need to have a backup plan. You need to, I just say research and keep
your lines of communication open. Because even when I travel, I talk to my husband all the time. I'm checking in, just telling you where I'm at. Even if I send a text message, hey, I'm going over here, just in case, got the address.
I do that even at home. Are you kidding me? If I go to the grocery store, I'm sending him a text message. If I see anybody weird, he knows. If he gets a random description of somebody, he's like, what's going on over there? I'm like, listen, I'm at the store. Somebody's looking a little shady. They're eyeing me a little too hard. This is what they look like. Okay. This is the kind of car they're driving, just in case I don't make it home.
These days, though, honestly, truly, there is so much of that going on. You know what I mean? That whether you're home or abroad, like I said, that head on a swivel and being, cognizant is definitely the way to go.
Now, do, and just being aware. Go ahead. Yeah.
Most definitely. No, I was going to say, if somebody wants to reach you and they want to book through you, and they want that extra layer of security and knowing that they've got somebody on the other side that's watching their back and looking out for them.
Yeah.
How do they get in touch with you?
So you can reach me. I have an Instagram, and Facebook. You can reach me there. It's at Travelfly Adventures. You can also find me at www.travelflyadventures.com, because then you can book an appointment with me there and learn a little bit about me and my business. And then my phone number is posted on there as well. So if you want to reach me, give me a call, or you want to connect with me on social media, I'm on Instagram a lot, so you can connect with me there.
Awesome. Now I got to ask you, most people just love to travel, right? I love to travel. I love to come back home, but I love to travel. So what actually made you, I know I'm starting all over again, but what actually made you start a travel bit? Like, what made you decide to kind of
Get
be
into
those
it.
eyes and ears for people and like go this route?
So since I was little, my mom and I traveled everywhere together. And one of the first memories I have is me and her getting on the Greyhound and going to visit her family back in St. Louis. We took the Greyhound and then we took the Amtrak. So she took me, and then for a little while, I lived in Cincinnati, Ohio, because my dad's job transferred him out there. So we would
Right.
come back on train and we'd go and visit family. And then when I got older, so I've always loved to travel. We did road
Little
trips and everything.
adventures.
We always went camping. We did all kinds of things. Yeah, adventures. Those were my mom would call it. Those were her and I. Those were our adventures
Yep.
together.
Yep.
And so when I got a little bit older, I wound up working as an executive admin for a marketing agency. And one of the things that I used to do was plan the travel for our sales team. And so
Yep.
I had to do put everything together for them and send them out on trips and different things like that. And then fast forward a few years later, I saw a friend of mine that I had connected with, and she was a travel consultant. And I thought, well, how did you get into that type of business? And what did you do? And so she introduced me to it. And that's how Travel Fly Adventures came about in 2018, is when I opened up my business.
Wow. So if people are even interested in like coming to you and saying, all right, Kealah, I love travel, I want to do this for a living, is that something you can help them out with as well?
Absolutely. They can definitely do it. And I will tell you, I'm not one to sugarcoat things.
Thank you. We have enough
really
bullshitters out there, girl.
Yes,
we got enough bullshitters out
I
there.
feel like when I first got in, there was things I wish I had have known before I started. And so now when people ask me, oh, what do you need to do? I give you the real version. I will always be honest with you and tell you exactly. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of research. So just be prepared. You're going to be always learning because travel constantly changes. The rules constantly change. So you have to make sure that you're staying up on things. So yeah, it's a lot, but I absolutely love it. I wouldn't change it. It's one of my favorite things to do. I've met so many great people. Yeah, it's I've met so many great people just in interacting, like talking with you and talking with other people in my networks and everything like that. In fact, one of the things I was going to mention too is like I created a network and travel group for female entrepreneurs that want to connect and travel together. So we host, I say we, but it's me. I host networking events, local networking events, virtual or in person. And then I have yearly trips that we'll be planning to going on. So I just rolled out this year. It's called Travel Fly Presents Boss Babes Travel. So I rolled that out this year. Yeah, I rolled it out this year.
Going?
My first event.
Where are we going this year?
I am revealing that when I do my event. But I have some trips lined up that I really want to do. I know one of the places I want to go to in 2025 is Greece. So I'm going to be lining that up too.
That is one of my that's on my bucket list.
Yeah, it's been on mine for a while. That in Switzerland. Those are the places that I really want to venture out and go to because it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm reading. See, the thing is, I'm in a rabbit hole all day with travel information. And so I have all kinds of information coming in my inbox all the time. And I'm like, ooh, it's really bad. I don't need Google. It comes to me in my inbox. So I see all this stuff and I'm like, I want to go here. I want to go there. I want to go here. I want to go there. So this is kind of giving me, because with Travel Fly Adventures, I do focus on the Caribbean, Mexico, but with my networking group, it allows me to branch out and focus on more things and do different things. And then again, make more connections with other people and learn from each other. So I look forward to doing that and helping other female entrepreneurs, like inspire them and help them grow and travel and relax.
That is amazing, Kealah. Y'all, you go ahead and hit her up, travelflyadventures.com. She can help you get your business started. She can point you in the right direction. If you need a little bit of guidance or, research where you need to go. And then once you're there, if you get into a little bit of a pickle, you've got those extra eyes, eyes in the back of your head, watching your step, making sure you are safe, that you make it home. Kealah, it has been an amazing time talking to you, darling. I thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Chatting with me. Yes. And I cannot wait, y'all. Greece. Y'all gonna see us again. We're
Look
gonna
out for it in 2025.
You got it. All right, y'all. Until next time, Kealah. Thank you, darling.
You're welcome. Bye.